And we're live. We're live, folks. Did I tell you guys about my business idea? I think we kind of got started in the middle of it.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. So I want to do. It's a coffee shop, right? But
that's pretty novel.
Instead of
there's not a lot of those.
Shut the
I want
fuck up.
bean juice.
Instead of the coffee being served, it's all cold brew, and you have to dredge it up from a well in the middle of the store.
Oh, have you got like
With
a
a
whole
bucket?
like a mining or an oil drilling
Just
ensemble
one
going
well,
on?
and they have to pull up a wooden bucket of coffee, and there's an old timer who sits there and tells them stories,
And
about the town, and
Daniel
you know how it
Day-Lewis
used
will
to be.
beat you to death with a bowling pin. It's great.
Yeah, Walter, I don't think that'll work because don't talk to me until I've had my coffee.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about the famous maxim.
Yeah,
I think it was
Yep.
the Roman poet Virgil. I think wrote that.
Don't talk to me until I've dredged my coffee.
So we'll have to use entirely non-speaking forms of communication in the restaurant.
Yeah, the old man could
in
whistle
the
at
coffee
me.
shop.
He can kind of like hum. But
Mhm.
if he's telling me stories and I haven't had my coffee, I'm going to get pretty testy.
I'm gonna get pretty violent with that old
Yeah.
man. I mean...
It's all in American Sign Language.
I would throw him in
you
the
can't
well.
go to the restaurant without it.
Or you could use Silbo, which is a whistling language, a dialect of Spanish.
Is that true? I
yes.
don't know enough about linguistics to tell if that's true.
It is absolutely true. It's a very small language, very small dialect.
Small language.
But some of the words don't translate very well, because you don't have much range in your whistling voice. But they're trying to keep it alive. There's not very many speakers left.
That's all we are trying to do here is trying to keep it alive. This is 30-Minute Worlds. I'm Walter. With me are Daniel, Zach, and actually Belvin here on the episode as well, which is always a treat. And when there are four of us, we like to give one player in the game special powers. That player is known as the Lore Lad, and he is sacred to our people. He gets what we would call creative control over whatever it is we're about to build. So I'm going to roll a 4-sided die here, gentlemen. If you would chant the ceremonial chant that goes along with that.
The ceremonial chant.
Yeah, you guys didn't forget the chant, did you?
Roll the die. Step on the D4 and break your foot.
All right, the D4 roll is a roll of 2, which means, Daniel, you are creative director of this. Congratulations.
Huzzah.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
I
didn't actually know what the order was before you rolled the die, so
it's
you could have said
1
anything,
for
it would've
Zach,
been fine.
it's 2 for Daniel, 3 for me, 4 for Belvin.
All right.
The rest of us goons who are not producers are going to generate some prompt words here.
Keep it saucy, boys.
Desmond, you want to go first?
No, actually, I'm gonna say no. I don't want to go first.
I have a word.
Yeah, Belvin? What is it?
Whistle. Whistle is my
Okay, whistle. Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna say...
Please don't whistle on Mike. By the way,
I'm gonna get as close to
I'll
the mic
do-
as I can.
I'll do what I
I'm
want.
really
Oh my
let her
God.
rip.
Oh, please don't whistle. All right. Oh my God. All right. So that's the last podcast, guys. This did it for me. I'm not editing another podcast again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well, okay, make it a good last word then.
Okay, I got a last word actually. Dissolve.
Dissolve.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a word as well that can't get out of my mind. Car radio. Or I'm sorry.
Thank you guys for this really wonderful selection of prompt words. You fucking assholes. Car
radio.
whistle.
Hey,
So when you say whistle, are you talking about the act of whistling, like a whistle, or like a physical, like I blow into it because I'm a train conductor?
The act of whistling. The sound.
Car
Whistle.
radio? Are you fucking kidding me?
Car radio has destroyed us.
Hey, Lorelad, have fun with that creative control. I'm handing you the keys here. Let's build.
Why car?
Wait,
Why
and
car?
I think you meant to say car phone.
I
That's
did,
what we
based
were
off our
talking
earlier
about.
conversation, but now it's car radio.
Car radio.
Well, this is an interesting
whistling,
active sabotage that you.
and dissolving. All right, so this is the one where Belvin whistles in my ears to the point that it deafens me, and then Walter hits me with a car radio, and then Chessman dissolves me in a vat of acid. That's all the game is, just hour after hour.
So
It's
what
actually my specialty.
car radio, I guess, actually does kind of define the setting because it implies cars. First of all, that's something we would know. So there's cars and
No
radio.
shit.
This makes me think post-apocalyptic, like dissolve plus car radio makes me think of like Mad Max Junkers.
I think of that too, actually.
Okay.
I think of pirate radio.
All right, they've engineered a way, right, to get gasoline by dissolving human corpses.
Okay. Fuck.
Now we're
Okay.
cooking with gas.
There are these big ass vats that just sit in the sun, and you let them sit in the sun, and then you collect methane.
No,
Bodies build up
Yeah,
with
yeah.
natural
keep
gas.
going, keep
right?
going.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And it powers your radio, which is the only important part of it.
Oh, your radio is the dominant entertainment form. This is an alternate
Okay, no,
history,
all
I
right,
think,
yeah.
where car culture just like spiraled out of control.
The car was invented to service the radio.
What if, in this, I think it would be a neat idea actually if cars are valued for their radios and not for transportation.
Well, they would still be
is
valued
that
for
a-
their transportation.
Why?
A little
I
bit.
don't
but that's
know.
sort of secondary, right?
What if, in key with dissolving, we're in kind of an ooze world where your car actually can't move. It's a dwelling for you.
Why is it a car then?
We've come a long way from Mad Max, Get Gas from Bodies to Ooze World.
It's a pitch. You have creative control. You can deny that. You can deny
I'm
it
going to
with
deny
term.
that. I think that's
Okay.
stupid.
Deeply so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we can either work in whistle or car. All right, so I do like what Belvin has here is that we have kind of got this sort of, but it's all in fucking Australia always, or the fucking desert. Can we mix it up a bit?
Mongolia.
Like, well, oh wait a minute. All right,
Oh,
what
actually,
about?
hey, here's
yeah.
the thing. I was talking about Sealbow earlier. The places where they use Sealbow, or the place that I there was some example of it where there were Sealbow speakers in this sort of like in this ravine, and because of the like acoustics, you could whistle on one side of it and be heard on the other side of it.
Through a car radio.
You don't need the car radio because you're whistling.
That's it. This is the part of the podcast where I mute Walt for the rest of the episode.
Well, obviously we have a conflict here: the car radio people versus the whistlers.
So what if? Okay, what if radio is how you? Or actually, all right. If you want to roll with that, go for it. Huh?
No, I was just saying, that's
I was talking about
that was my reaction.
I had a plot that's not Ooze World related.
Let's hear it.
We were hitting on alternate places, and I said Mongolia. You know how throat music sounds like whistling?
It
At
doesn't.
various
But
octaves?
continue.
It does.
I know, but
What if this car culture, these car khanates are based out of Mongolia or some sort of analog? And
Yeah, I like this. Like the yurts are on the back of the fucking truck
the
beds.
tribute
and,
you
like,
pay to the Mongolians is bodies to dissolve into methane.
yeah.
All right, I dig that.
The
What
Lorelei
What I'm
digs
imagining
it.
here is an alternate universe where someone time traveled back to Mongolia, like the Genghis Khan Empire, and did nothing but introduce cars.
That actually might be cool.
Yeah, honestly, I'm vibing.
I don't think that because they couldn't mine for gas or mine gasoline. They couldn't find natural gas to fuel a car in that time period.
And they did stuff like that, like, depositing
They
thousands
fermented
of
things.
bodies and bones in front of capitals and
Yeah,
stuff.
they just had all that
Yeah.
shit lying around.
Okay, so yeah,
I mean, who
alternate
knows where it
history
came from?
where some dipshit time traveler went back to the Mongolian Empire and gave them cars.
And working radio stations. to
And, of
facilitate
course, the
this.
car radio.
So you just
Oh my god.
like you are the Shah of Iraq in like 1336 or some shit, and you're just minding your own fucking business. And on the horizon, you see smoke trails.
Oh.
And there's just a caravan of Mongolian cars coming at you. And they're blasting Rock the Casbah as loud as they can.
Yeah, maybe we didn't give them radio as much as we gave them music of the gods, which is just music from our time.
Yeah, so not radio for communication, but radio for, like, it's like battle drums and shit, right? Like,
yeah.
Except it's Queen's Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
It's all British
We
rock.
should actually, I think
That's all it is.
I think it's funnier if we land on one album that the Time Travelers incidentally brought with them.
I'm stuck on Queen's Greatest Hits, but that's derivative because Good Omens already made that gag.
Yeah.
They already did.
We can't crib from Good Omens, that's entirely original. It's not based off anything. He just wove that whole cloth.
Because like, it would need to have some
Rubber
range
Soul.
to it.
Rubber Soul.
Rubber Soul.
Mongolian Empire blasting Rubber Soul.
Dude, the Khan has a great axe called Norwegian Wood.
Actually, I kind of like the idea. It's not just the one, but there's like only like 4 or 5 albums, right?
But they're all Beatles.
No, it all needs to be British rock music.
I think British. Yeah. So the Kinks, the Beatles, that kind of era you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Like the Clash, and then get into Queen, and all that shit.
Yeah.
Sure. Pet Sounds.
No, so having an album is like a status symbol. Having a CD or a cassette. I don't know.
Well, there were only 5 albums brought. The 5 great albums, the 5 holy tablets, basically, that the gods brought back. In this setting, I think we should assume the time travelers left.
Yeah.
They were ostensibly people with mischievous intention who brought hundreds of cars to Mongolia. That was the main thing. The albums were sort of an afterthought, but they play on the car stereo.
Yeah.
Boy, mate, wanna have a laugh? Let's go back in time and give the Mongolians fucking cars.
Let's fucking give them cars, mate.
What if they didn't do it on purpose, though? What if it was just like
they knew what they were. They traveled to the period.
Wait, what's the name of that British car show? The really popular one.
Top Gear.
Top Gear. What if it's a Top Gear publicity stunt?
God.
So
the holy god Clarkson.
The Stig is
the grandest tour.
Depicted in Mongolian artwork dated back thousands of years of a man, a Khan in a faceless white battle helmet.
Okay, so we kind of have worked radio into the setting.
Yeah.
But whistles remain. And we've got the dissolve. So I can't really think of anything interesting beyond communicating.
Yeah, Chessman, you chose a real left curve of a prompt there. I gotta be real.
Oh my!
I don't want to hear that from you.
The curveball, yeah.
You absolute monster.
I mean, it's whistling is just it's a form of expression. It's a method of communication. That's really all it can be.
Everyone whistles the songs that were brought back in time because they can't.
They throat sing.
Well, no. What if there's one of the songs that
renditions.
has whistling on it, and it becomes, how in the medieval times, if the king had some weird habit, everyone would pick up on the court, and it just became fashionable. So what if there's a whistling part of a song that Genghis Khan starts doing, and now everyone has to whistle like that?
I like that. But what's the track though? I don't know any British rock songs with whistling.
What was that Guns N' Roses song? This isn't British rock, but what was the Guns N' Roses song that has the whistling at the beginning?
I have no idea. Wait, is it no?
Well, Sitting by the Dock of the Bay. Let's say that's on there.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
It was Patience. Guns N' Roses Patience.
Genghis Khan really likes Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
It gets incorporated.
I was thinking you were more of a Metallica man,
That is better.
It gets incorporated into Buddhist teachings when they invade the Yuan dynasty. It's we must all sit on the dock.
Every city he goes to, he builds a pond and a dock. So he can
This
sit
is
on
one of the
dock.
Khanates. So you know how Genghis Khan's empire split into 4 Khanates?
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Horde, the Ilkhanate, the Yuan dynasty, and what was the other one?
Timurid and his people.
That was in the 1400s. Those were different.
Oh yeah.
There was a fourth Khanate that's unimportant, but that ruled like out of India, basically. And later became the Mughal Empire. But what if each of the four is in possession of one of these records?
Yes, I was gonna suggest that earlier. That's like, and then one of them has the sitting on the dock of the bay.
That's the one. That's China. That's Buddhism now. Yeah.
Yes.
So should this be set like after we break up the empire, basically? Like
I think
sometime after that?
yes,
like,
sometime
the
after
Khan is dead.
Genghis Khan's death from getting his penis stabbed off, which I insist also happens in this reality.
Well, we have to be accurate.
We have,
too.
yeah.
This is historical fiction. It's not just fiction.
Except in this reality, he puts it in the car exhaust pipe.
This is
And then-
historical fiction on the level of Master and Commander, 12 Years a Slave.
Before every battle, you have to cut off a slave's cock and put it in the exhaust pipe.
Well, the lore lad
This is
spoke.
terrible.
The lore lad has spoken about that.
No, Genghis Khan gets to keep his penis. Well, because you can't just do that. That's
Okay.
illegal.
The lore lad says Genghis Khan has a penis in this reality, and who am I to blame him? I guess
Yes,
Daniel just wants years of sexual violence to be inflicted on hundreds of millions more
Yeah,
people.
Daniel, this messed
Well, that
up.
was gonna happen
That's fucked
either
up,
way.
dude.
I don't know why you're the one advocating for genital mutilation here in the fucking chat,
Hey, let's
Yeah.
pivot.
and I'm the
Uh,
asshole.
So
Thank you,
dissolve. Let's think about dissolve. Oh,
Yeah.
well, the empire dissolves. Big picture.
Big picture.
Okay.
And also, they're dissolving bodies used for fuel.
That's
They
a
would-
big.
They would totally do that.
Yeah.
What's the third way we can use dissolve?
Hmm. What if? No, I got nothing actually. I'm scraping.
There's-
Mm.
Acid rain from all of the car pollution. I
Hold
don't
up.
know.
No.
I mean, hey,
What if we
Oh,
did
sorry.
introduce something? Time travel might fuck up the environment in some way that might make having these cars even more advantageous.
hmm.
In what way, like
okay.
a butterfly effect that way, or what do you
In
think?
like weird anomaly type phenomena or weird weather events that never get rectified or explained but are seen as signs of the gods, let's say.
That's true. Yeah, because having a car in just regular old Mongolia or regular old, like it's regular old Asia, it's not like you need roads, otherwise
also-
it's useless.
There aren't that many of these cars, and they're not replicatable. So the actual war of the Khanates is between themselves over these cars because they're so powerful.
Right, and people make imitation cars, but they can't get it to work, so they just have like
Yeah.
4 people running where the wheels would be.
So Genghis forged his empire on the back of the V8.
Of, like, yeah,
and now his sons are
200
all fighting
shitty-
over this shit.
Yeah, like 200 shitty British cars.
So I'm gonna throw this out here, and
The Top Gear deposit.
oh my god, I'm gonna throw this out here, and you just feel free to stop me whenever. So dissolve, right? Dissolve. For the longest time, alchemists were trying to look for the what's it called? The noble solvent or something.
The
universal
universal
solvents.
solvent. Yeah.
Universal solvent that could dissolve anything.
Hmm.
And
and thus grant
you
them
know,
unlimited wealth in the
Right.
lucrative dissolving industry.
right.
Nothing to spice up a setting like a little Chinese alchemy. Just a little dash in there.
And so, what if they define this? What if there's a path to finding this?
They derived it
This
from
thing.
car parts because that's the only thing that changed throughout history is these cars.
Mm-hmm.
So is it
Well, yeah.
access to a
the-
substance they had access to, plus magic, which, let's be real, did exist back then. If you don't believe that, no one can help you. You know.
Chinese alchemy.
Yeah,
man.
no, that
It
was
doesn't
real.
matter.
That was 100% real. The left-handed
Drink
path.
mercury, all of you, right now, for your health.
Oh, the lead in the gasoline.
Oh,
They drink that. They get access.
Well, there is no.
They
there is
didn't
no
bring
gasoline.
unleaded gasoline.
There is no gasoline because they dissolve bodies for fuel.
mm-hmm.
How is
Still not 100% sure how that works.
how is
but-
society conducted? Because you have to dissolve a massive amount of people, basically, in order to run a car. You have to turn them into a sludge, which is then transported to Karakorum or like Ulaanbaatar.
People bribe the empires with people to stop them.
Yeah,
from
it's tribute of political prisoners are. I mean, there might even just be a tax of heads, paid.
Yeah, and the
Oh, and
real
they-
We can hand wave how it works with Chinese alchemy.
What were you gonna say, Belvin?
the real Mongolian history has them like decimating a few societies that just weren't sufficiently deferential.
Yeah,
Right?
anyone
Then
higher,
Benjamin.
anyone who was taller than a cartwheel was executed, basically.
Shit.
But if
A
you
cartwheel.
surrender, yeah, if
Now it's a
any
car
person,
wheel.
yeah, it is actually. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a lot lower.
It's too small though.
Only toddlers can live.
Well, that's the law.
Can we do like steering wheel? Like
Anyone who
Up to the
whose head isn't above the steer. Anyone who can reach the gas pedals of the car, they're going. Only.
All the adults left are manlets, and so they're in
Well,
charge.
the Mongolians,
Oh.
the Mongolians only did that so that to cities that would not surrender, because the Mongolians were notoriously actually pretty chill. If you did surrender to them, they would not destroy your entire city and raze it. But if you didn't surrender, they would fuck you up. So
Just
Yeah,
trying to hang, man.
they put you into like a busted car, and you'd sit down, and if they could see you above the steering wheel, they stab like a spear like right into your head or something like that. Otherwise, you just get out.
I think if you can reach the pedals, they put you in a car with no gas. They wheel it in on a chariot, and if you can reach the pedals, a slow look of dread dawned on your face, and they hack you to death inside the car.
Beat you to death with a tire
The
iron.
same way that they killed Jeremy Clarkson.
Asked for too much money for the next.
He asked for a lot of money from the Khan. He beseeched the Khan.
He punched Genghis Khan in the face.
He asked Genghis Khan for a hill of gold.
Wait, okay, so let's keep spinning out like how history changes because of this.
Oh
So
yeah,
now we have like only very small people because
We
instead
can't-
of cartwheel, it's the car steering wheel.
basically yeah.
So the entire
we
half
also
of the world
have-
is small now.
I hate delving into the realm of like nerdy historical fiction, but like what actually would change as a result of this counterfactual kind of.
Well, they can push farther in some places, but anywhere you can take a car, they can't.
Would there be a
You
medieval?
can't take a car.
Would there be a medieval weapon that could combat a car with modern safety features?
Ballista. I mean,
But cars can move so
Catapults.
fast. No, wait, maybe this
Yeah.
history means that the Mongolians can drive to Europe.
No, yeah, totally. That's what I was thinking. But
They wouldn't
I don't
get
know if there's a
stopped like in
weapon that could
Russia.
defeat them.
You know what stops a
with a-
car though?
What?
A small dip
A tree.
or a small raise.
Ooh.
yeah, I
thing.
mean, fortifications like will stop a car.
Yeah, but they stopped
Not
the
even
Mongolians
fortifications. Sort of just like a bunch of spiky things, just there.
too. So the
Sure,
cars
but
have to
easier
have,
to transport themselves to the area, and then they can just do their
Yeah,
normal war thing.
and the
but
cars
how many
have
cars do they
outriders
have?
with them, on horse. You'd have
Okay.
a fleet of car riding nobles, and then you would have a bunch of horse outriders who are scouting out for measures like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I just think
cavalry was
yeah.
super effective at the time.
Yeah, and it would be even more effective with cars in there.
Cars.
I don't think
could
it would
also
be that
use
much more effective.
Cars
as
to
the
just
issue.
drop infantry wherever you wanted, kind of without fear of being shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a car.
Small
The
amounts
safety
of them,
glass is
but,
a lot
yeah.
stronger than arrows.
Yeah, and we could
Genghis
say
Khan
that
just has a tank.
it was a lot of cars that Top Gear left.
Yeah, it was really wasteful.
Well, if there is any, like pre-modern society that could build a car, it might be the Chinese Empire at its height.
Yeah, that's
Like-
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
maybe the
need
cars were
good
first
metal
engineered.
though.
I don't know if that's
The
possible.
manual is in Chinese.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I mean, we should totally think about the possibility of.
I don't think they had. They could maybe make an inferior machine that ran off the same goop, but the metalworking at the
Mhm.
time and wouldn't have been sufficient to. And the
I'm fine
But
with
they
that.
can
Cars-
make a shittier car, right?
cars run off
Yeah.
electricity too, which required resources that these countries weren't even like mining for at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It would be a source of
Spark plugs.
electricity.
But how many alternatives to the car designs that we use today are there? Like theoretically, could you make a functioning car with different
Without
wheels?
electricity, I guess you would. You might be able to.
Cars
You
don't
might-
actually need electricity.
Yeah, the first
Well,
cars
they only
actually.
need electricity to start the reaction in the engine. That's the spark plug.
Right.
After that, they mostly don't need the electricity. Is just there to run like the active braking system and like the
Dude, and since
system
it's
inside the car.
since it's Top Gear, they brought a bunch of old timey weird cars, some of which had crank engines,
Right.
Mhm.
and those were reverse
Yeah.
engineerable.
I was thinking instead of, I mean, okay, maybe Top Gear did bring them back, whatever, I guess. If you think of like where in the world would there be a large amount of cars being shipped at once? You like, what if there was a gigantic shipment of cars on like a cargo ship lined up and was going across the ocean and just like slipped into sort of like a Bermuda Triangle situation.
Situation. There's this beach tanker in Mongolia. I kind of like that. Dan, what's your
Mhm.
Well,
authorization?
wait.
No.
So
Well,
I was waiting to end the episode on this, but my thought is that we reveal at the end that Top Gear in the future has time travel, and they've just created a whole fucked up alternate reality, and like showing all that happens in an hour-long BBC program.
That's the infinite season of Top Gear is filming the alternate reality.
he
they made.
finally got as much money as he wanted.
Alternate histories where they just drop off cars to different empires and see what happens.
The Stig is just allowed to run over pedestrians. Like, nobody gives a fuck.
Jeremy Clarkson's doing a voiceover as you see the Mongolians like massacring people in cars, making stupid jokes.
And then like the end of the campaign is like the Khan is racing against the Stig.
Yeah, I like that too much for it not to be a
So there's-
thing.
I think we've settled on the year 1219, but with cars, which is a cool setting.
Right,
But where
Mongolians
does-
get cars thanks to Top Gear.
Where does whistling come in?
You know, it's such a rich setting.
Chessman, you
It's
picked the
almost
problem
too-
word here.
The chaotic
Oh no.
dissolve.
I have it. Whistles. You guys remember a few years ago? I don't know if people are still doing this, but people would make these modifications to their cars where they would put this like this block in like at the end of their exhaust pipe that had just a tiny, like when all the exhaust air rushed through it, it would make this horrible whistling sound.
What if that's an intimidation tactic? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Of course they would do that, yeah. And
It's like
an
a
infamous thing,
screaming
the whistles
bullet,
across the continent.
There's a head on like the radio wire. And there's fucking whistling exhaust coming from it. They're trailing a bunch of corpses behind the car. It's great.
I dream to be dragged behind the Khan's car. Just
Oh,
an
God.
execution method.
They could have like other whistles too to remind people of like the horrible event that happened when a bunch of like Ford Broncos just drifted over their entire village.
Yeah, whistling becomes culturally identified with death for the next century.
And sweet drifts.
So there
But
are
mostly death.
there are knockoff cars, but there are also the original cars the Mongolians had, which would number like, let's say if it's a tanker ship full of cars, time space anomaly. The knockoff cars would be mostly in China and Europe, right?
Europe is the only. China is the place that could theoretically manufacture them.
That's
Like,
true. Europe might have one brought across the Silk Road.
It's
in
the
pieces.
Venetian merchants
The
have
Ve-
the secret of car construction.
Venice
Oh
has
my
a
God.
gilded car. It's the only car in Europe and the Doge has.
They have like the one or two, like it's a tiny little guild of like motorists basically.
It's affixed with the sacred banner of the Venetian cross, and it accompanies them into battle. At the siege of Constantinople, the car was present with this huge banner affixed to it, And it has no gasoline. They just wheel it around by pushing it.
The Renaissance is just all these cars in heaven. Yeah, like Michael and Adam driving around cars.
It's the combination. It's the Italian Job, but it's
Da
them.
Vinci makes a flying car.
I know I'm not
Oh.
I'm not the lore lad here, but I would like Chessman killed for what he just
What?
did. The Italian
Flying car?
Job, but with cars.
Oh.
That's a good. That's a good one. I did a good one though.
You did do a
I
good
haven't
one.
seen that
Fuck
movie.
me.
I don't know. Alright, now Chessman explain the plot of the
Yeah,
Italian
Chessman,
Job
you're on the
to
hook
me and
now.
everyone else. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know what you're
Uh,
referencing.
all
The
right.
lore lad has spoken.
I don't know what
so,
the job is.
There's cars.
Yeah.
In Italy, they're Italian cars.
So what you're
So
saying?
this is our setting.
Yeah. So what you're
I've
saying is
never
they
seen
stole
this
from
movie.
us.
I've never seen the movie.
We
I'm assuming
can
it's like Gone
sue.
in 60 Seconds, but in Italy.
Okay.
Is that how
So
close?
you
am I?
made a reference
What?
to a movie you haven't seen.
I actually also just
also
made a
I've
reference to
not
another
seen,
movie
nor
I
have you.
haven't seen.
Belvin, have you seen The Italian Job?
No.
Chessman, stop referencing shit you don't have.
It's my one thing. It's what I get in this life is the ability to reference things that I
Oh,
have.
But it's
no
not a
clue.
reference if no one understands what it is.
And then
It
yeah,
is,
explain it.
We don't know what.
So, as always, in any setting with Mongols, it really sucks not to be a Mongol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't that the lesson? But music gets really good.
Yeah, and
History
well,
develops really cool music early. Like the Court of Kublai Khan is full of all these knockoffs.
Court of the
60s
Crimson
and
King,
70s British
baby.
rock.
They got Court of
I've
the.
always wanted
they
to be
got King
drawn and
Crimson.
quartered by 4 Ford Focuses while Octopus's garden flares in the background.
I always wanted to be destroyed by the Khan's American sedan.
The times they are a changing.
I like that it's all chill rock too, and it's not anything. I think because it's really incongruous with the setting, but that makes it funny.
Yeah, no, that's a cherry on top.
Before we leave, let's nail down the 4 albums. I think, and where they're distributed.
Yeah, we can make
I
more
kind
than
of
4 if we
want.
need to.
Okay. Yeah.
I still
We had
think
said Otis
Rubber's-
Redding sitting on the dock of the bay was China.
that his single
Right.
is
That's actually not the single. No, please
That came on.
have some respect for Mr. Redding.
Yeah, he was an icon.
That album is a treasure.
I just like
What's
that-
the name of the album? Chessman.
It's
Yeah,
the
Chess
name
was
of the
for
album is
referencing
literally
shit.
The Dock of the Bay. It's the same as yes.
The Italian Job by Otis Redding.
It's the Italian Job.
Featuring Otis Redding.
Rubber Soul would be Connie to the Golden Horde, the one that invaded Russia.
Yeah, they just play "Baby You Can Drive My Car."
They're hoping to reach. Yeah, they're hoping to.
Oh god damn it!
They're hoping to reach Norway so they can find what Norwegian would actually. This fabled country.
Isn't it good? I must have it.
This also implies a world where the Khans were taught English. So I think somewhat passengers of the cruise ship or the shipping liner had to be brought back through the warp as well.
Well, no, is a shipping liner? I like to think this is all an extended Top Gun.
The Top Gear.
episode.
Lorelad,
I'm
what are you
Top Gear
saying?
Episode.
Lorelad,
Now a Top Gun
lay the hammer
episode.
down. Which is it?
I mean, maybe the way that they introduce these cars is like they have, for some reason, a time-traveling cargo ship. And that's just how they introduce
What
this
if the
into
cast?
ecosystem.
We can have both, where the cast of Top Gear is on a ship with all the cars going to, Milan or whatever, and instead they are drawn through an inexplicable time portal, end up beached in 12th, 13th century Mongolia.
13th
Thank you,
century.
thank you.
Yes.
History major over here.
It does seem to be in the fashion of the show. All right, we're just gonna. I mean, they got horses, they got cars. It's kind of we got a thing going on. I'm sure this won't end badly.
So
for
we
any of
have
us.
Rubber Soul. What's in India and what's in the Ilkhanate in Turkey?
I think the Ilkhanate should be combat rock, which is a Clash album.
Oh yeah,
because it has Rock the Casbah
It has Rock
on
the
it.
Casbah, and they would hear Casbah, and they're like, "That's a thing we understand."
And should I stay or should I go as well? Which is like, hey, pay tribute to us.
Maybe India
or else.
India could get the freewheeling Bob Dylan.
I kind of want the Kinks for India. I think it'd be nice if they had like Victoria, that album, but
Sure, yeah.
I almost want somebody to get A Farewell to Kings by famous Canadian rock band Rush, just because of Xanadu, but I don't actually know where Xanadu
The
is.
image is terrifying.
hey, Chessman was right about that album name. It is actually called The Dock of the Bay.
Of course I'm right.
So you're
I
one for
looked it up.
two.
Well, you didn't inspire us exactly
Yeah.
before.
That,
Your Italian.
to be fair, that's how I feel about half the shit you say. I feel like if pressed, you wouldn't know what it is.
That's the thing. You have to press me.
Yeah, we do,
Otherwise you won't never
clearly.
know. And then the next thing you press me on is always going to be something I'm 100% certain on.
It's a nice little treat, every podcast. Just call Chessman out.
Every
Come on.
podcast,
Does he know
can
what that movie
disparage
is?
Zach Chessman, yeah.
Yeah, this is our new segment. Is Chessman wrong this time?
I do want to zero back in on where Walt called for genital mutilation of Genghis Khan. That was a pretty good moment, I think.
It's true to life.
You immediately followed that up with the normal thought that every slave should have their dick cut off and put in the exhaust pipe of a car.
Okay, well, yeah, but you put my brain there, so
Yeah,
really it's
you
your
only
fault.
magnified what I said on a scale 1,000 times more grotesque and horrifying.
But then I vetoed it, so it's fine.
No one
It's
is
all right.
accountable for the horrors they unleash in this fictional.
Yeah, that's
Mongolian
true.
Empire.
As the lore lad, you get the privilege to blame any of your subordinates.
And I do.
Complete creative immunity from any problematic aspects of this.
Well, we're approaching 40 minutes,
yeah.
so we've already
we
broken
spent
our
like
rules,
a
but
few minutes riffing, and there were like 4 minutes of lead in before we actually did the clap. Also, but yeah, I think
no, I think we're at a pretty good,
and
pretty
healthy
good point.
clip.
We established the world in 30 minutes.
Plus, I don't want to put in the precedent of us doing too much work for these hogs who listen to our podcast.
I would never want that to happen.
I wouldn't want that either, my man. So this is
Yeah, by the way, guys, you can subscribe to our Patreon for special.
We have a
You
cover
unsubscribe.
coming up this week.
if you like our
We do
subscribe
not
to
have
Walt's
a Patreon. I want to
OnlyFans.
get that out there.
If
We do
you-
not have a Patreon.
if you go to our Facebook page and click the little flag that says report for online harassment.
You can find
Yeah.
Walt's manifesto about genital mutilation on
freely
Podbean.
available, actually. Yeah, I'm just going to be distributing that. I think I'll riff about it next show until I'm cut off. This has been 30-Minute Worlds. We hope y'all have a wonderful day or evening. And y'all take care. Take care out there.